starting now and backstage.
Okay. Good afternoon, Miss Gibson. My name is Demaya Swain. And the first question I have is you have served the South Florida community as a nurse, a social worker, a politician, and as a community activist. Do you believe that these steps were a part of your natural evolution as a professional?
I think so. You know, I started my nursing career back in 1947 at Jackson Hospital. And when I came there, they were calling all colored nurses nurse, and the white nurses were Mrs. And they didn't want to call colored nurses Miss or Mrs. And I really didn't realize at the time it was because of segregation that, you know, and they didn't think of us as being really, you know, they were still calling colored men boy and women girl and all that. And so it was just a thing. And I came there having been called Miss Anderson in nursing school for 3 years. I just came there saying I was Miss Anderson, and they were insisting that I had to say I was Nurse Anderson. And I would always say, you can call me whatever you want, but I'm going to call myself Miss, and I'll call my patients Mr. and Mrs. because I was taught to respect the older people. At that time, I was only 21, and so the people who were up in the hospital had to be respected. And the older nurses who were already there
Um,
would say to me, "Girl, you better do what they want you to do because you
I'm
get
sorry,
fired." And I took
I
that.
have to interrupt. I have to interrupt. It's the audio sounds really. Uh, I don't know exactly what's going on, but maybe uh, Cecily, are you able to like log out and just come back in, and we try it again because the
Okay.
audio.
Yes. Okay. Let me log out.
I'm not sure why it's happening. Demaya, did you hear the same problem? Like her audio sound fast? Okay. Because sometimes it could be like on my end, but I just want to. I think Miss Duffy is going from a hotspot. Let's see if.
Okay, we're back.
Okay. You sound good so far.
Okay, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Gibson to slow down a little bit. Well, you think that will help? We want to make sure they can hear you telling a great story. She was giving a great
Yes. I think we want to ask that same question again because I don't want to lose any of it. But that was great. So I'm going back, and Demaya, if you could ask the same question again, and we could just start over.
Okay. The question was you have served the South Florida community as a nurse, a social worker, a politician, and as a community activist. Do you believe that these steps were a part of your natural evolution as a professional?
And I said yes, and I really don't want to be too long because my story is a long one. You know, I've lived these 94 years, and I started my nursing career as a graduate nurse in 1947, and my first job was at Jackson Hospital. You need to know that I came to Jackson having been hired to work in the operating room, and when I got here and they saw that I was colored, they decided they made a mistake, and I couldn't work in the operating room. If I work on the colored floors, I would be able to one day maybe work in the operating room, but I had to start out on the colored wards. So I didn't want to take no job on the colored wards, but my mama said, you got to work, so you better take that job. So I took the job, and I went in, and they were calling colored nurses, nurse base, nurse dicks, and nurse whoever. And it was amazing. And I think in terms of how they were all happy with being called nurse. So I came in, and I was Miss Anderson. And they would always say to me, girl, you're going to get fired if you don't call yourself Nurse Anderson. I said, well, they can call me what they want. But I was taught our patients and respect the patients, and they were all Miss or Mrs. And so I will continue to call my patient Mr. and Mrs. and answer the phone. I'll say Miss Anderson. But they were always sending me to the nursing office. And I was always saying to the director of nursing, this is the way I was taught. And So I don't have any problem with you all calling me what you want to call me, but I can't call myself that. And they say, but you are a nurse. I said, well, these white nurses also nurses. And you call them Miss and Mrs. So if you're going to call me nurse, call them nurse. And this was a part of my evolution, really, I guess. And I didn't realize I had that fight in me. And I didn't realize then that I may not have been able to get a job anywhere else, but I was determined that I was not going to have them do us that way. And of course, it didn't change until the laws changed in 1955 when they decided to vote on calling colored nurses Miss or Mrs. After this, everything changed. And then they said, well, we had to do that because of the laws of the state of Florida. But the laws of the state of Florida didn't tell them they had to call us nurse. But they just decided they didn't want to respect colored nurses the same way they respect the white nurses. And so I think that was a part of what got me started on this business of realizing you could make change take place. Is that enough?
I text Cecily. We're still having like that issue, but another thing let's try is just turning. Maybe we just utilize the audio function, Cecily, and see if that would help. If you turn the camera off, and we want to use the microphone, because maybe we can make it. Yes. So maybe it's going to use less resources when you do that. Can you speak and let me hear it?
Okay.
Okay, so you sound fine. I think if we.
So I have to go over that again?
No.
We'll go to the next one.
Did you get that? Did you get enough of that? Did you understand what I was saying?
Yes, but it just sound well, it didn't come through clearly. It sounded like there was some issue with, I don't know, the audio there. But we can go with the next question with Michaela, and we'll figure it out on the way. Maybe at the end we'll come back to that question, because you were I would like to hear it clearly. Would be great. But go ahead, Michaela.
Okay, thank you for being here with us today. What specific things do you believe that you have done which were of a benefit to all women?
Well, it's amazing when I tell you that I went to Atlanta and was invited to a meeting of the Women's Chamber of Commerce. And I got there and saw all these women, white and blacks and Hispanics, all gathered together and having a great time. And I came home thinking, I wonder if you've ever had a Women's Chamber of Commerce. So I called around and I found out that we never had a Women's Chamber of Commerce. And so I decided to try to start the Women's Chamber of Commerce. And I called 10 white women, 10 Hispanics, and 10 black women. And we met here at my home and talked about it. And 7 out of each group decided that, yes, we needed to have a Women's Chamber of Commerce. And so the Women's Chamber of Commerce of Dade County at Miami was started back in 1984 because of the idea that I came back with from Atlanta. Everybody would have you think that I was the only founder, but there were 21 of us who really founded the Women's Chamber of Commerce. But I get the recognition primarily because I brought back the idea from Atlanta. So I think that's perhaps the greatest thing that I have done. That I have all women, and we have a lot of women of all professional groups has been a part of the Women's Chamber of Commerce for years, and they're still going. And they now give out the Thelma Gibson Award that they give to different organizations for the work that they're doing in the community, especially among women. From the phone, hold on just one moment.
I think
we're coming in. We're coming in
okay.
through the phone. Okay.
Okay, I see it. Okay.
Okay, let
I see the
okay,
phone.
let me
I'm gonna remove the other.
okay.
Okay. All
You
right.
want me to go over that about the Women's Chamber of Commerce?
Yes.
One. Okay, is this the correct direction?
It is, but it can come back some. You can push the phone back.
Now you
There
know
you
I
go.
have this thing on the I have the thing on this. So let me wait, hold on, let me turn off the hotspot
Okay.
so we're not pulling too much Wi-Fi. Okay. I actually have this thing on my phone. I mean on the ring thing, the ring, but I don't know. Let's see if it'll they're supposed to hold the phone.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Widen it. I might have to just a lady. Okay, hold it, just be the camera lady. Listen, Mike, this is why St. John pays us the big money, right? Okay, is that a good angle? Because I'm on the other side. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. Yes, I hear you. You can move it closer toward her.
Okay, okay, and
We need to go into where they are. Women's interviews, but they're not getting it.
okay, okay. How's that? Is that better
Good.
or
That's
more?
great. That's great.
Okay. All right. So speak up, Mrs. Gibson.
So what did you want me to do? Go over the?
No, I want you to let's let her go to the next question so
Yes.
she doesn't lose the vibe. And then, like you said, if we want to come back and repeat those at the end.
Yes. Okay. So I'll remove myself and we'll just continue on with the next. I believe it's the Demaya, the next question.
Okay, so the next question is how did you utilize your role as a healthcare professional to mentor girls or young women?
Well, I worked with younger people. In fact, while I went to New York to go back to school, and I worked with teenage drug addicts in the city of New York, in the Bronx, in a hospital where teenagers were sent for rehabilitation. And I had an opportunity to work with young, especially young girls and women. And a lot of them were professional women who they used to steal their parents' jewelry and china and all that and sell it to buy drugs. And so when they came to us, we had to really do a rehabilitation kind of thing. So I started working with young people early on, and have always, even in my own church as a teenager, I was the president of our Young People Service League. And I tell that story because I had a young Mr. Stirrup, who was the senior warden at the time, always said to me, "Girl, I'm glad you're doing this because you have to remember you're the church of tomorrow." And so for that, I was really inspired to keep on going. In addition to that, as a child, I was a Girl Scout. I was a Brownie and then a Girl Scout. And I managed to sell more cookies one year than any other Girl Scout in the Dade County area. And that was primarily because my mama worked for Father Sofer up at St. Stephen's Church. And they used to allow me to come up and sit in front of the church when it was on facing Main Highway, and I'd sit there and I could just sell cookies, and the white people would buy from me, and I was really, I guess, I always Dorothy Field Jenkins Fields always get me because I tell her she took her mother away from us when she got married and was going to have Dorothy. She left Carver, and she was our Girl Scout leader with along with this Bertie Baldwin. And I said, tell Dorothy she took our Dr. Fields. She took our teacher, our Girl Scout leader from us. But it was a great thing coming up as a Girl Scout and having worked with young people as a young, and then to be able to get into the professional world and work with young people at a hospital and trying to rehabilitate them and seeing young people go back into the community and be able to make a contribution. And so that was rewarding.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Gibson. You obtained several nursing degrees and certificates, having having attended six very high recommended universities. How do you think your execution education impacts your career?
Uh, I did not, I'm not on. I'm not.
That's me. I was trying to adjust. Okay, was that Michaela who asked that question?
Yes.
Yes. 1 second. Right. I don't think she heard the question. Can you speak up a little bit? I was trying to adjust my audio, and that's what caused me because I'm operating upside down. Okay, I think we have the my top audio. You all can hear us okay, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Michaela, can you ask your question one more time, okay?
Okay. You obtained several nursing degrees and certificates, having attended six very highly recommended universities. How do you think your execution education impact your career?
Well, I didn't get all those degrees that you're thinking that somebody told you I had a lot of degrees. I don't. I finished nursing school 7 and became a registered nurse, uh, having passed the state boards in North.
We lost them. They're having some major internet connection issues. That's why her audio sounds like that. They're trying to come back. Welcome back.
Thank you. Now listen, we want to make Mrs. Gibson a believer in technology. So we're gonna pray real hard that this technology works out for us. Okay.
we're gonna we're gonna pray. I think what would be best is just use the like we're just gonna use the audio so we can make it into like an audio recording. So if you take your audio, I mean you take the video and just do like you did before, like uh turn your camera off and we'll just I think the
Okay.
audio will be more stable and you can move the phone, you can raise the volume and move the phone closer to her because we won't use the video.
Okay.
So I think at the
All right.
bottom
So I need
just
to go cam mic.
yes,
Okay. Audio
so
on. Click on audio only.
yes, you have that.
Yes.
I think you might see, yeah, on the phone it's different but it should say that.
Okay. Then it says echo cancellation. Should I click that?
No, don't worry about, you can leave that.
Okay. All right.
But the camera, yeah, so you just want to uh Stop. You know, it says start camera at the bottom or stop camera.
So I see mic, cam, and cam mic.
So
Okay, gotcha. Let's see.
okay, there
Got
you go.
there. Okay,
Okay,
all right.
so
So
now
okay, so let me get closer to her so you
yes.
can hear her a little better. Okay, okay, all right.
So was it
So you were, you were answering your question about your education.
I was saying that I did not have all the degrees that people think I have. I was finished from St. Agnes School of Nursing and was registered in the state of Florida, having passed the state boards and had reciprocity with the state of Florida and District of Columbia and New York. So while I was in Washington, I worked there for 1 year, but the summers of 54 and 55, I went to Catholic University and just got 6 credit hours both summers. And then in 55, I tried to go to University of Miami to take some courses, and they told me I couldn't take courses on campus, but if I got 15 students together, they would give us a class, and they would give us an instructor, and he could teach it at either Booker T. Washington High School or at his home. And so we were able to get these students together, and 15 of us took a class in English 1 from University of Miami in an instructor's home here in Coconut Grove. And then the second semester, we took it at Booker T. Washington High School. And so I have 6 hours at the University of Miami, having never been on campus, but lived long enough to be a trustee at the University of Miami. It's amazing how things happen. And while I couldn't work in the operating room at Jackson Hospital, I was on the board there at Jackson Hospital. Thank for the commissioner who appointed me to that position as a board member, and that was Commissioner Carey then. She's Schuler now, Barbara Carey Schuler, and I thank her all the time because she gave me an opportunity to see really the insides of Jackson and how things were turned around. Uh, so the degree that I did get was when I went to New York and went to Teachers College there at Columbia University, just to get the bachelor's in nursing, nursing education as such. And I've been able to use it, having met all these different people on different occasions, and keeping up.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gibson. So the next question is, you serve on many boards which are outside of the African American community. What do you think it is about you which causes others who may not look like you to value your perspectives?
I just believe that it's because other people see me on a board and they hear me if I make a nice presentation or be able to make a contribution. They recommend me for other boards. I've been on boards only because of people like Jay Weiss, who decided I needed to. He had heard me on was a part of it when I was on the Public Health Trust at Jackson, and Jay Weiss, a Jewish person, was on that board. Decided I should become a board member on a bank, and he introduced me to the owner of the bank, and I became a board member on a bank only because of the word that came from Jay Weiss. And so I have other names I can't recall right off, but who recommended me to become a member of trustees at the University of Miami. And on other occasions, because other people saw me on boards and I was always able to make a contribution, that they invited me to become, and I joined them because I wanted to meet people who were like minded and who were like minded.
Thank you so much. What
So you
single
young people
accomplishment
just,
are you most proud of?
I really don't know that I'm proud of any such accomplishments except that I was able to help people get started in this community. We started a group called GUTS, Grow Right United to Succeed. It's because a young man named David Alexander, who was over the CDC, had said to me, Miss Gibson, if we could get some people who got some money to put their black people who got money to put their monies together, we could buy the tiki which is a club that was on Grand Avenue, for $99,000. So I went to some friends of mine and I said, if four of you would put in $25,000 apiece, you'll have $100,000 and we could buy the tiki. He said, well, you put up 25. I said, I only have no $25,000 to put up, but I'd like to be able to encourage other people who've got that kind of money. And so they came back to me and said, what about 10,000? And we get 10 people to do it. I said, the only way I could do it is if you could do the 5,000. So they came down to $5,000. So I put in my 5,000 and put in 5,000 from the Anderson family account. And we were able in no time to get 18 other people to come up. And we bought the tiki way back in 1985, 84, 85. And it's amazing when I tell you that we sit here with 20 people who are part of Guts, and we borrowed money from the city, and we thought we could get things done, and we had a plan to do a business on Grand Avenue, in that corner, Grand and Douglas, and we could never get the money. But Urban League, Urban Core, comes under the Urban League of Greater Miami, came to the fold and decided that they would help us, and they wanted to do, and they came up with a great big plan. And just within the last 6 months, we were able to work out this where we leased the land to Urban Core, and it's amazing how much money we were able to get from that $5,000 that we put in over 30 some years ago. And I always marvel at that because it was such a revelation to think that back then, and I said, I had money in the bank and I didn't make this much off the money in the bank as I made off of this. And while we didn't sell the land, we leased it. And so we're still owners. And even with the Gibson Memorial Fund, I started the Gibson Memorial Fund back in 84. I had a meeting here in 83 after my late husband died in 82 and came up with the idea. We really incorporated in 1983, but we didn't get the board together until 1984. And we were able to do some things on Grand Avenue and working with the CDC, which is a Community Development Corporation. We were able to borrow money, get money from the county and borrow money to build Gibson Plaza. And so those are things that you do for the community. And a lot of people were thinking that I was buying this land because I was president of the Gibson Memorial Fund and I was buying up land. And they said, she's buying up all this land. They thought I owned it. I said, I don't own it. It belongs to the Gibson Memorial Fund. I own one piece of property.
Okay, next question, Michaela.
Okay. What do you think it is? What do you think it was about you which caused you to be appointed as a city commissioner here in Miami? Did you hear me, Miss Gibson?
We lost them again. They dropped out. Hopefully they'll come back. This is long. You guys are doing great though. Great job. No problem. The nature of internet and connection with a cell phone, or I think Ms. Gibson is down in Coconut Grove in that area. Let's see if they come back in. Huh?
We
Can you
we
hear me?
yes. Okay,
Okay,
we got kicked off. Are we ready for the next question?
we are.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay, Miss Gibson, what do you think it was about you which caused you to be appointed as a city commissioner here in Miami?
I really couldn't answer that. I don't really know, except for the fact that my husband, who had been on the commission for 9 years, and I worked closely with him, and having known a lot of the commissioners who were already there, they perhaps thought I was the best person to do this job. And so when I was invited, I was shocked because I really had no experience as such in politics. And I really don't have a great interest. I have an interest in not that I want to be a part of it. I want to be able to play a role in it, but not be a leader. And so I accepted that position only because it was just for 4 months. And I felt that I would not be running for that seat. And so it was really uh, just the mayor at the time was Joe Corolla. And I didn't ever think he would appoint me to anything, but he was the one that recommended me and said that I was the best person qualified to do that job. And I just think that people watch what you're doing in the community and pick up on some of the things that you're doing, but nothing special that I could put my hands on that would say why they appointed me.
Thank you. I had a question, but you just answered it. So thank you for that. So I'm going to move on to the next one. What was your first reaction upon the election of Kamala Harris as Vice President of the United States?
It was the most exciting thing that ever happened in our life, other than when Obama was elected as president. I was happy to see that a woman could finally get into that position, and I was just really elated when that came through that she had been elected along with the president.
Okay, thank you, Miss Gibson. I think that was my question. So, am I supposed to do your question now, Michaela?
Yes, you can go to the next.
Okay. What characteristics about Kamala Harris remind you of yourself?
I really, like I said to everybody else, like I always say that I'm humbled by some of the things that have happened to me, and I would hope that she would continue to be humble and enjoy what she's doing while she has it and do the best she can and be able to help as many people and as many organizations and things that she could do while she's vice president because it happens so that women don't get this opportunity very often. And so she has a role. And not only that, being a woman of color and having finished from Howard University in Washington, D.C., and for them to get the kind of exposure that they're having, knowing they have an alum that's vice president, some of what we lost in the past 4 years because we were becoming a country that was almost like a dictatorship. And I think that they're bringing back what America is all about, that we welcome all people to this country. And I think she's able to help our president do that because of her ability and the things that she has been involved with while governor of California and all the other things that she has done in her life.
Thank you so much, Miss Gibson. I have another question. As a 94-year-old woman, African American woman who is retired from public service, what advice would you give Camilla Harris?
Since I retired from public service, I don't know that I've really retired. I say to people now, I don't do Zoom. I refuse to do it because I'd be in meetings all day, just like I've been in the past. And I just like to be able to know that I'm passing on to you young people. And I'm so proud of you young people for taking this opportunity to do what you're doing. Because I think the young people have to come up and be able to do what needs to be done to help change take place. And those of us who are elderly should sit back and just help you whenever we can. And the only reason I would do these kind of interviews is because I want young people to understand that we're depending on you to carry on and to continue to do the things that we were able to get started in many areas as we go along in this life. And I just think that I'm proud to know that we have young people like you youngsters who are willing to take time to do these interviews with those of us who are elderly and have lived a life, uh, and to realize that all things are possible if you have the faith and know that there's somebody that's greater than you that's causing you to be able to do all these things. And I really believe the greatest thing that has happened to me is the fact that I did have a faith that I can hold on to. And from the time that I was baptized when I was 3 months old, I was going to church. And so I still, up until this pandemic, I was able to get to church every Sunday.
Young ladies, can you ask the first two questions? And while you get those ready, I think that Mrs. Gibson did not hear the question about what similarities there were between her and Kamala Harris. So I'm going to let her answer that while you prepare those other first two questions, and I think we'll be finished, okay? Okay,
Okay,
so
they
I
heard you.
asked you when we first got here, or when I first got here, I asked you what about Kamala Harris reminds you of yourself.
Uh, it's amazing when I think of the fact that she has the spontaneity and the ability to get things done. Uh, and I really believe that she is enjoying what she's doing and knowing that she could help so many people. And the fact now that she's been given this new assignment uh, to help young people in trying to get to these United States and to become citizens and to be able to make a contribution is a great accomplishment because that's all I've ever done was try to encourage young people to keep carrying on and to know that there is a better place for all of us and that we have a place in this society and we could do whatever it is that we could do that God has given us the abilities to do. That and as I always say to everybody, there's a purpose. God is it's been a purpose for all of us, and it's a matter of taking advantage of what the Lord has given us, the abilities that He's allowed us to have to be able to make these contributions. And I think that our vice president has those kinds of qualities that you look forward to, and especially in women and women of color. Did that answer
Mhm.
it?
Demaya, do you have
You
your
can go ahead,
first
Maya.
question again?
Yours is the first question.
I do. Okay. Miss Gibson, you have served the
Go
South
ahead
Florida
with that
community.
question.
You have served the South Florida community as a nurse, a social worker, a politician, and a community activist. Do you believe that these steps were a part of your natural evolution as a professional?
I really, as I started out earlier saying that in 1947, when I came to Jackson Hospital, I was supposed to be hired to work in the operating room. And I got here and they saw that I was colored and decided I couldn't work in the operating room, but if I work on the colored floors and get some experience, maybe one day I'd be able to go into the hospital. And so I didn't want to do that. And I came home and I told Mama what happened. And she said, well, girl, you got to work. So you better go back and take that job. So I did. And the first thing I discovered when I got there was they decided that I was Nurse Anderson. And they called it the colored nurses nurse and the white nurses were Miss and Mrs. And I said, no, I'm Miss Anderson. I said, when I got to nursing school, I was only 17 17 years old. I didn't turn 18 till December, and they started calling me Miss Anderson. I said, and I felt all grown up. And one of the things he always told us, we had to respect our patients and respect ourselves. And so all of our patients were Mr. and Mrs. somebody or Miss. And so it's amazing when I get the colored nurses who were already there and they really calling themselves nurse got upset with me because I refused to say I was Nurse Anderson. And they said, "Girl, you are a nurse. Why can't you say nurse?" Like I said, because I was taught that I was Miss Anderson. And I said, it's a matter of respect. They call the white nurses Miss and Mrs. Why can't they call us Miss? I said, but they can call me what they want. I'm going to, because they'll always say I'm Miss Anderson. And so it was that kind of attitude that I had, that I carried through life. And it's the young people who came to work with us. We had 3 young men who came from Booker T. Washington High School every summer and after school. And they wanted to call first patients by their first name. And I said, wait, young men, look, when I'm here, when I'm on duty and you're working with me, we're going to respect our patients. And they're going to be Mr. and Mrs. You're not calling them by their first name. They're older than we are. And at that time I was only 20, I just turned 21 that December. And so, and these are little 14, 15, 16-year-old young men. And I said, no, we're going to respect our patients. And so it was really, I guess, like they carried through my life, knowing that I could help change take place. And of course, the actual change didn't take place right away. I was always sent to the nursing office. And Miss Mustard, Alice Isabel Mustard, was the director of nursing. And I think she got tired of seeing me. And she said, well, Nurse Anderson, uh, I'm sorry that you're having this problem. And I said, but go back to work. She never said anything about the fact that I was saying I was Miss Anderson. She just said, I'm sorry you're having this problem. And so I continued to call myself Miss Anderson. And when the change took place in 1955, and all the other people started saying, well, girl, I could see what you were talking about. Uh, so it amazes me when I think of some of the nurses who, Nurse Mann and Nurse Pace and Nurse Hicks, and they were proud to be called nurse. And there I was, this youngster, saying I was Miss. And so it was just a great time for me to show how I was grown up and I could help change take place.
Who has the last question?
Thank you so much. I have the last question. What specific things do you believe that you have done which will benefit to all women?
I think when I started the Women's Chamber of Commerce, I went to Atlanta and was invited to a Women's Chamber of Commerce meeting. And when I saw all these women, white and blacks and Hispanics, all uh, gathered around and having a great time and encouraging one another and doing things, that I came back and I called a couple of the PR people that I knew and I asked them if we'd ever had a Women's Chamber of Commerce, and they said no. And at that time, they'd only had one woman who had been a member of the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce and ended up being president, but they never had a women's chamber of commerce. So I called 10 white women, 10 Hispanic women, and 10 black women together. Of course, we were colored back then, colored women together. And we talked about it. And 7 of us out of each group decided that, yes, this is a good idea. And we wanted to start to do something for women. And it's amazing that after all these years, we still have all the women of all races and creed and all professional who are part of the Women's Chamber of Commerce. And I think that's perhaps the greatest thing that I have done to just bring women together and to have women know that they're empowered and could do things just like men, and how they could sit on boards and be a part of this American society that's so great. And they also started
Thank
the
you so
Thelma
much.
Gibson Award that they give out every year. Okay.
Hold up. So there was one other question. She was going to talk about an award that was named in her honor. I think there was a question that asked what she was most proud of, and she kind of shied away from that. But we're gonna ask that question once more and let you. Demaya, who has that question about what are you?
Let me just answer the question because it was I was proud of. But there was this award that was started by the Women's Chamber of Commerce that they give to people in professions every year. And this year, one of the women who won that award runs a restaurant in Overtown across from Gibson Park. And I can't remember her name, but I was very proud to know that she was able to win that Thelma Gibson Health Award this year. They give it to one white, one Hispanic, and one black every year. So it's to me a great award that they give out from the Women's Chamber of Commerce.
All right, young ladies, thank you all for pressing through with all of our technology challenges. Thank you, Brother Mike. Do you want me to do anything in terms of taking any photos before I go?
Oh, yeah, that would be great to have a photo with Miss Gibson. That would be excellent that we could use. Um, but I think we're good for with the audio
Oh,
portion of this.
okay.
Yes, thank you very much, Miss Gibson, for your time.
Yeah, if you need me to answer anything that's not clear on, you could call me
Okay.
305-442-9663. Any one of you, if you have something more and you'd like to talk with me on the phone, I'll be happy to do that.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you, young ladies. Thank you, Brother Mike. And I'll send you
Okay.
some
Thank
photos,
you.
okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.